The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome and thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD, presented by Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus, where they have fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors. My name is Paul Solano of the PS and All Marketing Group, and this is season number 2, show number 20, and it is happening right now. And a quick shout out to Dave Boyle and attorney Marty Moran for doing an awesome job last week while I was doing my fundraisers in Winthrop and in Beverly. And Brother David Boyle, you did a great job. Marty, I look forward to meeting you one day. You sounded great. You both sounded great. The flow of the show was awesome, and I was really intrigued with your great guest, Jack Curley. That's J-A-K, Curley, out of originally, I believe, from the Plymouth, Hanover, Kingston area. And I got to check out his books that he's written. So thanks again for filling in. Now, I am excited to bring you another great season with my network of very knowledgeable contributors. We will continue to keep it real, hot and timely, South Shore and Cape and the Islands base, North Shore reference, but definitely full of Paul pondering thoughts. And as you probably already know, I also wear another hat as general manager of the Pearl Street Station restaurant in Malden. And a huge shout out, of course, to Chef Felipe Fitzpatrick and his culinary team. Chef Felipe is a loyal listener through the Odyssey app. So hello to Chef Felipe. And as always, we have lots of activity going on today at Pearl Street Station with lots of reservations, and we're gearing up for a tavern crawl with Dungeons and Dragons inspired fantasy bar crawl. And Pearl Street Station is stop number 2 of this Malden Gaming District partnership with Incantrix Production, the Mayor's Office, the Chamber of Commerce, and the other restaurants in the area, and we're stop number 2 out of 4, I believe. And more tavern crawls will be occurring during the course of the summer through September, I believe. Now, I know I always say it, but it is true. As Malden's longest-running restaurant of 40 years, we have incredible staying power in the Boston area and the North Shore. Please venture over the Zachem Bridge and visit us. Now, I must say, Chef Felipe, that Tutti Frutti calzone that you made, it's a limited edition, special only type thing. So when you come to Pearl Street Station, don't always be asking for that Fruity Tutti or Tutti Frutti calzone, but it was absolutely delightful. And it was a big hit at the Scott Albertson, John Bowen brunch we had, the jazz brunch we had last week. And Bob Hilberg was there, and so many wonderful people, nonprofits. And we had over 140 people there, and it was really great. It was awesome. But that Tutti Frutti calzone you made was absolutely delightful, and no calories too. Now, of course, I always give a shout out to my very impressive team of Chef Felipe, Chef Joaquin, Pete Ciola Moose, John, Jen, and Don for holding down the fort on this very busy day. And also a quick shout out to 2 people who I met last night at the restaurant, and hopefully they're listening for the first time today, but their names are Michelle and Joe Iapika. Hi, Michelle and Joe. Had a fun time last night with your family, and thanks for having Katie's birthday party with us, and it was really a fun night. Now, as I stated earlier, it is season number 2 and show number 20, and it is an absolute honor and pleasure to be on WATD in the slot of The Boiling Point with Arthur Boyle. Arthur is my executive consultant of the Paul Ponders radio show, and Arthur is out there adding to our list of sponsors and seasonal sponsors. I do want to announce this could be a late-breaking news type thing, but we have a new advertiser next week, and that's Andy Provatola of Environmental Resources of Hanover. Andy is actually a classmate of mine from Malden High School, class of 80, and I've seen Andy off and on through the years. and at reunions, and his family is mainstay in the Malden area. His dad was just a great guy. He owned a restaurant, but he was an educator, and he just a super guy. So we'll hear more from Andy during the month of May and hopefully beyond. But Andy Provatola of Environmental Resources of Andover is going to be starting with us next week. So, behind the glass, we have Tim behind the glass.
Yes, we do. Good afternoon, Paul.
How are you?
I'm great.
I feel like I haven't seen you in ages, but it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, just 2 weeks.
Just 2 weeks, withdrawal symptoms and all.
You feeling okay? You need some water?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm all right. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
welcome.
Do you know that going without water for 7 days makes 1 week?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Yes. Sartorial Splendor, you changed your outfit a bit?
Yeah, rooting for the Ford today. Ford, baby. That's how we shout out the Fords every Wednesday at Miles on Motorsports. Ryan Sieg is my pick for today in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. They're all down in Alabama at Talladega Super Speedway, and Miles Heger is down there for the races this weekend, too.
Oh, that's cool.
And we have a very, very special guest lined up, I believe, for next Wednesday night show. One of the Allison brothers.
Really?
Yes. I saw a photo earlier today. He's sitting there in the official Miles on Motorsports gear and sitting next to, I think it's Bobby Allison. I'm not sure which one it is, but stay tuned. Wednesday night, they'll have some great stories from a NASCAR legend, one of many.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And possibly another interview or something with someone who designs these carts that I think you can drive them, but you can put your cooler right on the cart, and it's got a spoiler on it and everything. But I said in the chat, I said, make sure it's balanced right, because if the front end's too light, you're going to make a turn. You're not going to turn. You're going to just keep going straight ahead. But yeah. O'Reilly Auto Parts Series today and tomorrow, Cup Series. Cup Series qualifying was rained out this morning. They didn't get the track dried in time, so everyone's lining up. I think how they finished last week. So Tyler Reddick will lead them to the pole. Win number 5 for him last week for 23XI with Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, co-team owners. Sticking it to NASCAR after that big lawsuit last year. This is the 5th one, And,
really?
Yeah. They had an overtime restart last Sunday, and Reddick got by Kyle Larson. But Kyle Larson got P2, so he's going to start P2, and I'll have some Kyle Larson gear on tomorrow to support him.
That is awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And Tim, I must say, and I was chatting with Bob Hilberg, the Patriots historian, and as you know from past calls, Bob was very involved with the raising money, the statue for Sarah Bradley Fulton up in Medford. And we spent some time Sunday at the Jazz Brunch with Scott Alberson and John Bowen, and on Monday with the statue unveiling. And we were talking about WATD. He's been on Gary Levitt's show. He's been on our show, and he just enjoys that. But he said that you are just so knowledgeable, and you're just so spot on with NASCAR racing and racing in general. So I want to pass along those nice words from Bob Hilberg.
Thank you, Bob.
And it is true. And also, thanks for that mention of the lane drop dance. We haven't heard that.
You got to do it today. I was like, oh, man.
I will say that it was kind of interesting, and that man in the red car who let me in was very nice.
Good.
I want to thank. I gave the wave and all that stuff. It was very nice of him.
Yes, I do that too. I give the wave, especially if you're up near the split and everything. It gets hectic coming down here on Wednesdays. I make sure I give a wave behind me, like, thank you, So they don't say, hey, what are you doing?
Right, exactly. I still have to touch bases with my friend Arthur Wahlberg on maybe having some sort of like some sort of fundraiser or something like that regarding over at the family restaurant over here in Almanova. But Arthur was actually arranged some sort of meet and greet with my friend Paul C. Swerter from Gotham Whale, and I guess with Jim Brewer the other night at the Chevalier Theater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Arthur Wahlberg, if you're listening, we'll be talking about that lane drop dance that Tim just refers to so well. We're going to coin that.
All right.
Awesome. Works for me. Well, we have the Pod Pro Techie Toolbox segment now with Techie Chalonzo Amos and Miss Shelley Wolf, global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment, vice president of technology literacy for Pod Pro, a past Paul Ponders guest, episode number 35 of my 85 episodes so far. So on the line, we have Shelley Wolf.
Good morning.
How are you, Shelley?
I'm good. How you doing, Paul?
I am doing well, thanks. So nice to hear your voice on the radio. I've been seeing a lot of you, though, lately over the past week or so, huh?
Yeah, I've been enjoying some lovely fundraisers that you and all your folks have been putting on, so it's been really wonderful. So thank you for all the invites, as always.
You're quite welcome, my friend. Now, Shelley, I say it's true. It's always true, but you are a big hit on this segment. David Boyle gave you a great shout-out last week, great intro, and so accurate. And Marty Moran is a big fan now and all, but we have a growing list of Shelley Wolf fans out there. So so take it away. I'm not going to cut into your time with your great tips and also your myth of the week.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for all the support from everybody. So this week's topic is going to be 3 questions to ask before you download an app, right? Have you ever gone to download that app and thought, well, it's free, so why not? It not only takes a few seconds to tap, download, tap, and accept it, and then suddenly it's on your phone. But there is one truth. Not every app is as harmless as it looks. So collect more information than you realize, and some don't work as promised. Others are designed to access things that you actually don't want them to access, so you want to be very careful. So today we are going to jump in and give some simple and powerful tips before you download the app, and think about some questions that you can ask yourself so that you can help you avoid any problems and feeling overwhelmed or afraid of technology. So why does this matter? Apps can be incredibly helpful, as we know, and everybody seems to want an app for their devices, whether it's an organization, so that'll help with navigation, communication, health tracking, entertainment. But every app you install also has access to many parts of your phone. They collect data. They run in the background. The goal isn't to avoid apps. It's really to choose apps wisely. So the really first question you want to be asking, is it free for a reason? So let's start with the big one. We all love free, but free often comes with a trade-off. Some apps make money by showing ads. A good example is thinking about streaming apps, Spotify, Hulu's, Netflix, right? If you purchase them, now they allow you to purchase with apps or without apps, or ads, I mean. Some make money by collecting your data, selling information to advertisers. That doesn't all mean free or apps are bad, but it does mean that you should pause and ask those questions. How is that app going to make money by me downloading it? So the red flags to think about are too many pop-ups, promises that they sound too good to be true, limited time downloads, that pressure you to always talk about, right? That's something that we're like, hey, be cautious of that pressure and those pressure statements. If something feels off, trust your instincts. Question number 2 you want to think about is, what permissions are these apps actually asking for? This is one of the most important things that you really want to think about, and that really gets overlooked, right? When you install an app, it may ask for access to all types of things. Your location, your contacts, your photos, your email, your microphone. And the real question becomes, why do they need access to all these things, right? So what you really want to think about is, does a flashlight app need access to your contacts? Does a weather app need access to your location? Yes, but only while you're using it. And if you're using games on your cell phone or on your computer, do they need access to your microphones or your emails or your contacts? Again, you can always say don't allow or limit the access. So here is a key. Set permissions to the access of while only using that app. This is instead of the always, right? When, again, you got to go back, because a lot of these apps, when they do updates, they will also revert to always. So, again, it's really important to be monitoring those apps as well as all the tools on your phone. And question number 3, does it have real reviews? So before you download, take 30 to 60 seconds to really check the reviews. look for consistent ratings. Anything you want is going to need to be a 4.3 star rating or higher. Anything below that should be considered an immediate. They typically need improvements. They're working on it still. There's questions about it. So again, just being very careful about that. Detailed comments from real users, feedback about performance and safety. Watch out for all those reviews that sound the same, or they're very few reviews of a really popular app. They may have thousands and thousands of downloads, but very few reviews, which is very unusual. Complaints about scams or hidden charges. Again, real people will leave real clues, so take advantage of that. So now we're going to jump into that myth of the week. The real question is, if the App Store has it, it has to be safe, correct? Well, app stores do screen their apps, but everything can get caught. Not everything gets caught up in that. So some apps slip through because of poor privacy practices. They change behavior after they do all their updates, collect more data than expected. So again, be cautious. Doesn't mean being afraid. It just means being aware of what you're actually doing. Clean up what you already have. Go back today and take a look at the apps if you have downloaded. Ask yourself, do I still use this app? Do I trust this app? Do I really need it? Because I don't know about you, but my phone is filled with apps, and half of them I don't use. And again, those take up energy and time, and sometimes are running in the background, which wears down your battery. So a quick cleanup is to delete those apps that you don't use, review permissions in the settings, and keep only ads that you value. Less clutter, as we know, equals a much more control over your devices. So again, before you download, ask yourself, why is this free? Check permissions, read the reviews, trust your instincts, and keep your phone uncluttered. So this week, I ask you, before you download an app, pause for 30 to 60 seconds and ask yourself those 3 questions. It's a small habit, but it's a great habit to get into that will save you time and protect your privacy while giving you more confidence while you're using your phone. So today's tech tip is to make smart choices. They don't take long, but they do make a big difference.
Wow. That is so informative, as always, Shelley. And I just wanted to ask you a quick question regarding, say, an update to something that you think you already have on your phone. We'll say PDF software. That happened to me the other night, and I said, okay, it looks real. Maybe it is updated. I don't do a whole lot of downloading of PDF files, but I said, why not? Well, I sort of found myself sort of trapped in the middle of something, and it was like, now did I just click something that I should not have? It was for an update.
That's a great question. So the best thing you really want to do, if you have apps that are saying they need updating, go into the App Store, and in the App Store, it's going to show you which of your apps actually need updating. Don't just do it because a pop-up happens. So that's the word of advice.
Okay. Well, we'll have to deal with that later after we get off air. But interesting. I thank you for that. So Shelley is always so informative. And also, how do our listeners in Paul Ponders land reach you?
Yeah, we can be reached at info@podproentertainment.com.
That is fabulous, and I always give a shout-out to Checky Talonzo, who's out there fiercely creating those content reels that are getting so much mileage.
Yes, he is always very active creating content reels, whether it's for this show, your Paul Ponders show. I know he's got a lot of editing work he's working on today, so we are keeping him content-heavy. And, folks out there are looking for content creation, social media clips, podcasting. We are here to support you. All the tech tips you need, we are here to give you guidance and support you. So, again, we can be reached at podproentertainment.com.
Absolutely, and I want to thank you for those emails you sent me during the week. I think it was at the beginning part of the week, and I just really haven't been on my email and I haven't been on my website to post on my PS&All Marketing Group blog, but I will be getting to those and putting those out on the blog as well. So again, Shelley, I want to thank you. You are awesome, and we will catch up with you next week, my friend.
Thank you. You guys all have a great day, and let's continue to have a great show.
That's a hashtag indeed.
Hashtag imagine.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, as Arthur Boyle says, it's not time to make the donuts, it's time to pay some bills. So let's hear from our sponsors.
Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
Are you looking for fencing and outdoor products? Look no further than Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus. When owner Mike Payne's customers have been asked why they chose Northeastern Fence, many said that there were 3 deciding factors: customer respect, excellent customer service, and quality products. I say that you need to add in 70-plus years of a family-run business with truly experienced sales and installation teams. So if you are in the market for fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors, please call Mike Payne and his crew at 781-233-3324 or email mike@northeasternfence.com.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back. Thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD, presented by Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus, where they have fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors. The call-in and text-in number here at the studio is 781-837-4900. Again, that's 781-837-4900. And you could also find us on the Odyssey app if you like my daughter Ann in California or Chef Felipe at Pearl Street Station Restaurant. You're listening on that Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. And Ann, you're listening. We need to chat. Haven't heard your voice in about a week, so we'll talk soon. All right, honey? And also a shout-out to those nonprofits. It's really just great being involved with so many different fundraisers and raising money for so many different groups. And I am really pleased that a lot of nonprofits are, in fact, reaching out to me for some projects. But also, I want to hear from you. If you want to be featured on the Paul Ponders podcast, you could reach me at paul@paulponders.com. Listeners can go to paulponders.com to find subscription links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as finding past Paul Ponders and WATD shows. Now, this past week, I dropped a great 3rd and 4th generation podcast with my friends Joe and Jared Pianadosi of Pianadosi Baking Company. And I'll tell you, it was just a tremendous podcast. And really, it was the first time that I've ever had a 3rd and 4th generation owner on the same podcast in the same room. And it's a rarity these days, but, kudos to the Pianadosi Baking Company of Malden for really just being in business they're in their 110th year, and with Jared's support and any future generations, this company is going to hit 150, 160. I don't think I'll be around to see that, but I know it will happen. And also shout out to Mike on the North River for his kind remarks in his texts and emails regarding the show and just life in general. So shout out to Mike on the North River. And also, too, a shout-out to Matt from Pembroke. Matt was going to be calling in today, maybe be in studio. He had a big day yesterday, but I'm just going to read a text from Matt. As you know, April 24th is Right Whale Day in Massachusetts, and Matt Delaney from Pembroke was, in fact, responsible for that with a few other people, but Matt was the prime mover on that with his wife, Ramona. And this is what Matt's day was like yesterday. Hi, Paul. Thanks, Paul. I got up at 3 a.m. today to get ready for the big event at the New England Aquarium. I got in there at 9 a.m. Great event, and they presented me with the Governor Healy official proclamation. Got home by 1 p.m. and drove to Provincetown with Ramona for the Center for Coastal Studies Right Whale Day event at 5 p.m. I spoke at that one, too. The CSS is a great place with awesome people. And he stayed overnight in Provincetown last night, a well-deserved night of rest. And also, Matt, if you're listening on the way back, hopefully you're not heading back. And we'll have you on a future show to talk more about all your great efforts for Right Whale Day. So at this point of the program, we have the segment of Health and Wellness Survival Tips with Miss Sharon Filliar. Sharon is here today, not in studio, but on the line. Sharon.
How are you?
I am doing well.
Calling from North Carolina today, visiting family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, long way. So just to preface, the information presented here today is from data culled from the National Institutes of Health and the Cleveland Clinic. And the topic today is about sunshine for mental health and physical wellness.
Okay. Well, take it away, my friend. Looking forward to hearing this. Spread some sunshine on the day.
It's rather interesting. So many of us may either take or know of someone that takes something called an antidepressant. These are also called SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, right? Mm-hmm. This helps to have bioavailability of something called serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that really regulates a lot of different things in our body. One of them is mood, thereby, depression, anxiety, but it also affects wound healing, your sleeping patterns, digestion, a bunch of things, and just overall wellness. Well, it seems that sunshine helps with serotonin bioavailability. So there have been a series of studies. This is quite interesting. And then we'll get into regular ways the normal person can obtain more sunlight, saying that patients who are in comas, if they're wheeled outside, every day for a few minutes, have had a greater percentage of reawakening. And people saw this and they said, okay, we really have to run some clinical trials on this. So this is what they're saying, is that sunlight aids in patients recovering from a coma, which is really fascinating. And so delving further, they're finding more about this serotonin bioavailability. Now, when as children, when you were in school, nursery school, grade school, they had you run outside because they said it helps with vitamin D, which is true. So vitamin D is the only vitamin that can be what is called irradiated by the sun. That is, the sun actually reaching your skin can help to make bioavailable vitamin D. But serotonin is a very, very important neurotransmitter that can also, again, be activated. So they're trying to do therapeutic sunshine therapy for patients who are in a coma to help them recover. It's very, very fascinating. Also, just in general, having patients that perhaps have dementia, Alzheimer's, getting them outside seems to have a positive effect on mood. Now, one mental health disorder that many people suffer from is something called seasonal affective disorder. This is when people get kind of depressed when it's dark outside. So it has been shown through NIH that if you're exposed to sunlight, this can alleviate, again, these depressive symptoms, again, making the serotonin more bioavailable. So now the National Institutes of Health and other organizations, and this is where we get to kind of like how we regular people can kind of, get more sunshine, are sort of supporting getting 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight per day. Now, there's a limit. Overexposure to the sun can make you more susceptible to dysplasia changes in the skin, like cancer, skin cancer. So the sun emits UVA and UVB rays. UVB rays are the ones that make you turn red like a lobster and burn. Those are horrible. The UVA rays are longer waves. Those go deeper. That's what gets you a nice, deep, great-looking tan, kind of the way you look, Paul.
There you go.
And by the way, a little trivia: glass actually blocks UVB rays. So if you're prone to burning, put a glass little globe around you and get a tan that way to block the UVB. That way you won't burn. However, again, what they're looking at is that individuals get at least 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight per day walking outside. That can just be, I don't know, sitting outside in your backyard, taking a leisurely walk around the track. Again, not so much exposure, but between 10 and 15 minutes per day, 10 and 15 minutes per day can help with this serotonin bioavailability to increase, to have better mood, less depressive symptoms. Oh, and it also helps to regulate what's called your circadian rhythm. So, sometimes people have insomnia, they wake up in the middle of the night. Well, serotonin helps to re-regulate or to help keep it stable. This is another, what they surmise is a component of pulling patients out of comas. That by exposing the coma patient to sunlight, this helps the brain to re-regulate this circadian rhythm. That is, if a patient is in a darkened room, the curtains are closed or the blinds are drawn, the blinds are closed. This limits the amount of sunlight, and the brain gets a little confused. By exposing the patient again to sunlight, helps the brain to re-regulate circadian rhythms, and they think that helps them to come out of the coma. Again, for us mere mortals, if you have insomnia, difficulty going to sleep, staying asleep, getting a bit of sunlight per day can help all of that. From a physical perspective, getting sunlight every day increases mood, right? And the corollary of having good mood is that you are more inclined to exercise, to walk more. So everything is sort of intertwined. Mood and exercise go together. The more you exercise, the better mood you have. And so if you get good sunlight, you'll have better mood.
Wow. That is really great stuff. Sharon, I do want to ask you about the huge amount of people who are now working at home, and they're really not seeing a whole lot of sunlight. They're just at their monitors, right?
Correct. So what I would suggest is that if you are able to have your computer in a room that has windows in it, and open the windows, it's like especially when you get some fresh air, but also get that sunlight, pull the curtains aside, pull up the blinds, get that sunlight in the room. If you have a break, walk over to the window. Remember, only UVB rays are blocked by glass, right? Go over to the glass and just face that beautiful sunlight, maybe five minutes at a clip. Just, you don't want to be in a darkened room. So sometimes you'll kind of hear about, someone's depressed, they've been sitting in a darkened room for days. There is some truth to that. When an individual stays in a darkened room for long periods of time, this can exacerbate depression. That's why if you're not feeling good, if you're kind of, your mood is kind of funky, go outside for a walk and see how you feel.
Interesting. Now, I know that a big seller on the list are those melatonin gummies and all, and so people are in fact taking those just to get some sleep or whatever. Do you think that the people are overdoing the gummies, those gummies?
Well, I'm not qualified to know the correct dosages. However, if your doctor or your healthcare provider suggests that you take melatonin gummies, by all means. I do believe that as an adjunct to that, it can't hurt to go out and get a little bit of sunlight. Remember, with any medication, you want to take the least effective dose, which means that if you take, 3, I don't know how many gummies you would take, 3 gummies, and one will suffice. You want to take the least effective dose and try to change your lifestyle so that you get the same effect with less, for lack of a better term, medication. So by changing your lifestyle a little bit, if you haven't already, and trying to get a little bit more sunlight, facing the window, going out for like a little walk, maybe before work, around the backyard, around the block, it can't hurt. And perhaps that will help alleviate the need for so much melatonin.
Interesting. As always, Sharon Filia. And I want to thank you again for being on, and looking forward to more segments down the road. And it's one of those things that our listeners are also, in fact, inquiring and saying, wow, what an impactful type segment you have. And people are checking out your YouTube with the Filia Fall Prevention Method, correct?
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is my goal to provide information to help others to have a great, healthy, happy lifestyle. And sometimes it just takes making small changes in your lifestyle to make all the difference. And also, before I forget, remember, if you go outside in the sun, please wear your sunscreen, okay? Wear your sunscreen. Always sunscreen, and properly hydrate. Remember, proper hydration is the number one guard against high blood pressure or hypertension.
Interesting and all true. So, Sharon, how do our listeners find you?
As always, the Filia Fall Prevention Method on YouTube. You can message me there, or you can always reach out to Paul Ponders. I'm sure all you guys down there will find a way to get through to me, and with any questions about any of the topics that I have. If I don't have the answer, I will find out and get right back to you.
That is awesome, and safe travels on the way back from North Carolina.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you soon around town. All right.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Sharon. Yes, you as well. Be well. Thank you. Well, that's Sharon Filia from Filia Fall Prevention Method, and now let's hear from our sponsors.
Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fried dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
Are you looking for fencing and outdoor products? Look no further than Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus. When owner Mike Payne's customers have been asked why they chose Northeastern Fence, many said that there were three deciding factors: customer respect, excellent customer service, and quality products. I say that you need to add in 70-plus years of a family-run business with truly experienced sales and installation teams. So if you are in the market for fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors, please call Mike Payne and his crew at 781-233-3324 or email mike@northeasternfence.com.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
We are back, and thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. The call-in number is 781-837-4900. You can also text us on that line as well. But at this point of the program, we have the financial wing of Olympic Proportion, sponsored by PS&All Marketing Group and Riverworks Credit Union, NMLS number 410564, with Mr. Paul Crowley of Riverworks Credit Union and Olympian and former Boston Bruins winger Dave Jensen, Senior Loan Officer. On the line today, we have Mr. Paul Crowley.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
I am doing well, my friend, doing well. Living the dream still.
Glad to hear it.
Absolutely.
How's my friend Arthur doing?
Arthur is doing well. Spoke to him the other day. He sends his regards. He enjoys listening to you call in. And that's how Arthur Boyle is the reason why you and I know each other. You and Kathy, we all used to hang out together way back when, BITD, as my daughters used to say.
Yeah. What was it? Davidson Trucking was where
right.
Arthur and Kathy used to work. Yeah.
Yes, Davidson Trucking and Exchange Transportation, right? Davidson Trucking, right? Seems like. And
then Arthur ran for the city council.
Yes, indeed. And I was his campaign manager and treasurer. And Arthur, is the answer to a trivia question. Do you know what that trivia question is?
No, I don't.
Okay. They're named the only elected official in Massachusetts to be elected to 4 school committees? And Arthur is the answer to that question. The Malden School Committee, the Northeast Metropolitan Regional Vocational School Committee.
Oh, okay, different communities.
So,
okay.
right, exactly. In the Silver Lake School Committee, and Silver Lake Regional, and the Pembroke School Committee.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Arthur, if you're listening, congratulations. That's quite a feat.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Arthur is listening. I usually chat with him on the way back to the Malden Medford area about the show, checking in on him, and Coach Bill Wilhelm. We have a great weekly chat. But Paul, it's nice to have you back on. I know you took a few weeks off because you had a taxing season.
Yeah, that's a double entendre there. Yeah. It was both taxing and taxing.
Yes, indeed it was. So what is happening at Riverworks Credit Union with mortgages and all? I've always been amazed at your career. You've run the gamut from your business consulting to accounting to whatever. So take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so I kind of went backwards. Started out as an accountant and ended up as a loan officer. Usually it goes kind of the other way or whatever, but nevertheless, here I am, and I retired in 2019, right before the pandemic, and then within the 3 or 4 months, my wife threw me out of the house because I was always around and always a pain. So I had to go get a job. So that's when I started working at the credit union. Yeah. So and that was kind of, at the time, it was go-go days. It was there was a lot of money in the market, or a lot of liquidity, I should say. They were trying to keep things afloat because of the pandemic and so forth. Got into that's back when interest rates fell to 2.5% in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
And unusual times for sure. So now we're back to like a more of a normalized interest rate environment where currently the rate on a 30-year mortgage, I think yesterday, was 6.23%, which is down from, I think over the past 3 weeks, it's down from like maybe 6.45 to that level. So it's dropped, I don't know, maybe 3%. The rate itself has dropped 3%, from 6.45 to 6.23. And that's a good sign, because that's purely market-driven. There's no Fed rate cut built into that. In fact, there haven't been any. So it's all good news, I think, for first-time home buyers and for people who are anxious to purchase real estate. And I think the proof is in the numbers, because both Dave and I have considerable pipelines these days where we haven't in the past, and that simply means that we are working on loans and then moving through the process. There are some purchases, and there are also refinances, and for people to be refinancing in this environment is pretty wild. You would think that they might want to wait until interest rates go back to where they used to be, which, by the way, is probably unlikely, because, as I mentioned earlier, the interest rate environment from 2020, 21, when it was like 2.5%, was an outlier. It's not realistic, because it was effectively zero interest rate environment. But so I think now we have a downtick. It's spring, a lot of houses coming on the market. I don't know what the bidding on real estate has been, but my guess is it's nothing like it was in the past, where you go into an open house and there's 8 or 10 bids and everybody's bidding over the asking price because they just got to have it, and that's not happening anymore. So maybe there is a little bit of that, but not nearly like what it was, which is those two factors, the lower interest rates and less competition for the house, makes the opportunity for that first-time home buyer or somebody who's actively in the market for real estate, for a home, it's very good for them, and hopefully that continues. And by the way, we got a open market committee. The Federal Open Market Committee meets next week. I think it's the last meeting for Jerome Powell, which I think most people believe is the reason why interest rates haven't come down faster, because he's been opposed to that. So when he's gone and they come in with a new guy, he's supposed to be a guy that's is going to be more interested in lowering the interest rates. So we could conceivably have a pretty good run this summer in terms of interest rates coming down with flat increases in real estate values. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's going to be good for the credit union, for banks in general, for me in particular, but more importantly for the people out there that need the financing to meet their plans.
Right, exactly. And, it's springtime, and we've talked about this in the past. People are starting to go out and look at houses, feeling good. That sun is shining. People are driving around and hopefully getting the homes of their dreams. And really, with the only real thing that's really impacting some people is, in fact, they say the price of gas being so high, but even that's coming down a tad. But it's one of those things that people are still going ahead and looking at real estate and buying homes.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So, another interesting thing, and this kind of sticks in my craw a little bit, the price of gasoline being like $3.90 a gallon or $3.80 or whatever it is. Some places the cheapest place you'll find is probably like $3.70. And if you understand the economics of the cost of gasoline and where it comes from. So basically, the United States is what do they call it? They call it energy independent, because we produce enough oil to produce all the gas and heating oil and all that stuff we need. We can produce it without having to buy even a drop of oil from the Middle East. Yet we have to experience the price spikes that are created by the tension that's over there. And I find that, something close to a con job, because, frankly, if a local oil company, say in Texas, wants to sell their oil, they're using what's happening 12 hours away in the Strait of Hormuz to justify raising their prices, even though it's not costing them an extra nickel. So anyway, I'm on my soapbox a little bit, but I think that has a significant impact on everyday lives of middle America, and it's really unfortunate.
Right, exactly. Well, as we start to wind down and all, we could talk about that next week, God willing. We could further chat about that. But anyways, I just want you to give a shout out as to how our listeners in Paul Ponders land can reach you, my friend.
Best way to get me is on my cell phone. I may not answer the call, but I will certainly get back to you as quickly as I can. My number is 781-513-3721. And if you're in the market for a mortgage or a refinance or even a home equity loan, Riverworks Credit Union is your place to go.
Absolutely, without a doubt, my friend. We still have another minute or two before we close down. But just a quick question regarding adjustable rates. Where are they at right now?
So if you wanted to get an adjustable rate through Riverworks Credit Union, a 30-year amortization, it's 5.25%, which is well below the market, and that's very competitive. I don't think you're going to find that too many places. Riverworks Credit Union is the lowest place around as far as I can tell. At a minimum, where there's nobody better than us. Maybe two people at the same price, but nobody better.
Absolutely. Well, we might as well just disclose how one becomes a member of RiverWorks Credit Union.
So, being a member of the credit union is a simple opening up a bank account. Which, by the way, if you're going to do a loan with us, we just incorporate becoming a member into the process. So you don't have to be a member to apply for a loan. But by the time you get the loan, you will be a member.
Gotcha. And you have to live in or work in Essex County, Suffolk County, or Middlesex County, I believe, right?
That's currently the way it works. But there's also elements, if you don't live in those counties, but you work in those counties, you are eligible.
That sounds good. Well, we will catch up more next week, Mr. Paul Crowley, RiverWorks Credit Union. I want to thank you for being on, and we'll catch up with you next week, okay?
Thanks, Paul. Nice to talk to you.
Nice chatting with you, my friend. Thank you. Well, I want our listeners to stay tuned to WATD with the Memories with Ron Dwyer. Ron, you are Grand Poobah of Musical Memories. Keep on Paul pondering, everyone. Thanks again to Dave Boyle and Marty Moran for hosting last week. #Indeed.